Hey West Texas, and welcome into another episode of our VCast series, Chat with the Chief. I'm Bert Sempierre, and with me as always is San Angelo Police Chief Travis Griffith. Chief, great to see you. It's been a little while. How are you?
I'm great, and it's always a blessing to be here. And it's been a nice little round of cooler weather. I wish all of our summer was that way, right?
Yes, I wish so too, but I guess there's only one person in this newsroom to blame for that.
Well, he'll get it right one day.
He's good. He's good.
Yes, he is.
All right, let's hop into it, and we'll start with a serious incident. So earlier this month, SAPD officers had to respond to the Family Dollar on Coberlin near Shannon Medical Center for a possible armed robbery. There were two suspects that were involved. A search of the surrounding neighborhood commenced. And really within a short amount of time, officers were able to track down two people that at least met the suspect's description. Where do we stand on this investigation? That's a pretty serious call right there, a potential armed robbery.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that we've had a few of those recently, but I'm glad to say that those armed robberies we have had, we've caught those subjects that have been involved in that, and this was no different. The people that we apprehended that day, we were the correct suspects based off of the evidence and information we have right now, and so can't go into a lot of detail because they are juveniles, and so I can tell you that they're going through the process, and we're confident that that we're going to see justice in this for the victims.
Now, myself and two of my colleagues here were actually out on that call, and we got B-roll, obviously, and learned more from a press conference from you after the suspects had been caught. But when we were out there, we saw a vehicle pull up, and I had said, oh, those must be detectives. You hop out of the car going into a potentially very dangerous situation. What do you think that says to the men and women of SAPD that their chief is willing to go out there and really be in the trenches with them, for lack of a better term?
Well, I tried not to say anything about it, so now I guess I have to.
Putting you on the spot.
No, I think that's all of us in the administration. We will lead from the front, and we try not to make people do things that we wouldn't do ourselves, and that's kind of the philosophy that we subscribe to. And I think in this case is when we're close and we can get there, and we still weren't the first unit there. And people talk about it being what's right around for the police station. Most of our guys are out in district patrolling. It's not quite like fire stations or anything. You actually have to be out in your districts, and but the first unit did get there right before us, because it was just down the road from us there. We heard it. We dropped what's called a robbery tone, so you recognize that as being something that's pretty pivotal, and we're not going to sit back and put people, go do that. We're going to be out there. We're cops too, and we're going to go out there and fight crime and suppress evil.
I can tell you it was a small army of officers out there, so a lot of first responders responding very quickly to that call. On a more positive note, last week TLCA San Angelo held its annual First Responders Breakfast. You were there, the fire chief was there, Sergeant Baker from DPS was there, a whole bunch of first responders were there. What does that day mean to you and the other first responders, and what is it like to see an entire school coming together to celebrate the efforts of the first responders in our community?
Yeah, we're really thankful for TLCA, and it was a wonderful experience with their students and their staff and all the people that came there to honor the first responders. It's kind of a weird spot because most first responders I know personally, we don't really. We get a little awkward when it comes to saying thank you, right? Because we're out there doing a job, and we feel like we're just normal people out there trying to make a difference where we can. So it's good to be able to see that on the return side of that, I guess, for our police officers and detectives and everybody that was on at the event, we were able to see the human side of things, and they're able to see that we're humans too. That we're affected by the ups and downs of life, and good to have that thanks, and wonderful to have a good organization like TLCA that's able to highlight and make such a wonderful event.
And it's not just schools or the educational community as well. One thing you learn very quickly when you move to West Texas, San Angelo in particular, and you start working here, is that the residents of San Angelo really have a great admiration for not only first responders, but service members as well, and those who have worn the uniform earlier in their life, veterans. What does that mean to you to have the really support of, I would say, 99% of the community?
I think it's pivotal to the role of law enforcement, and I think it speaks volumes to this community. I've always said that San Angelo will be the last great place to police, right? As the world sometimes loses its mind, right? And, that San Angelo, we are a different group of folks, and we try to. I hope that in the times that we're seeing right now, that we hold fast to the fact that we are San Angelo, and I'm trying to get the Chamber of Commerce to change their slogan to, no matter where you're from, San Angelo can be your home, because it just feels right. You know what I mean? Like, that's what San Angelo is all about, and giving, paying homage or whatever you want to call it to those that are out there that have served this community is a pillar. And I tell them, thank you for your support, because that means more the support than the thank you, really, because just knowing that they have our backs and support us means the world. And I know the service men and women, they say the same thing. They've never seen anything quite like it when it comes to Goodfellow being their duty station. And so this is amazing how times people come up and pay their meal, say thank you. It's amazing to see.
It is amazing to see, and obviously, I am not a first responder, but I can appreciate, obviously, the work you do. My grandfather was in law enforcement for decades, so it's great to be part of a community where first responders and service members are admired within the community.
Yes, sir.
It's fantastic to see. Looking about a month from now, October 25th is National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. And it's an initiative for people to turn in their unused and expired prescription medications to keep them from falling into the wrong hands. If you could speak a little bit about the importance of this day and why you guys wanted to get involved, because on the 25th, for a few hours throughout the day, unused prescription medications can be dropped off at the police station, no questions asked.
That is correct. It's one of those things that we don't talk about enough, I think, as society, that prescription medication leads to more street-level addictions than we really know, right? Especially with opioids, that you can get pain medication that starts one direction, and unfortunately you can get to a point where you can get addicted, or your kid can get addicted, or somebody that you know or love has that addiction that follows. And so if it's sitting in your cabinet, that's just that temptation that doesn't need to be there, right? That there's kiddos will go to sometimes these parties where they'll just mix a bunch of pills in a bowl and go get some type thing. So keeping that restricted, because heck, I don't know how many different types of medications. My last antibiotic, how many pills were in there when I last stopped taking them? So hard to keep track of that. And so you could have a loved one that starts taking those in a naive approach that can cause addiction. So we encourage people to get them out of the cabinet, free up that space, and we'll be the place to collect them.
Again, October 25th, National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. So if you have any unwanted medications, SAPD is the place to go with them. Last but certainly not least, we've had some good news today, which is great. Not all negative or doom and gloom.
Yes, sir.
But this morning, Officer Ballou, he was awarded as the Employee of the Week by the Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. That's quite the honor for SAPD Officer Ballou.
Yes, sir. He's just an awesome police officer and just a good man, and we're blessed to have him be a part of our organization. He's been a long time hit and run investigator. He worked in the motors unit, which is a traffic police officer. And I tell you what, sometimes you get some complaints for people that go out there and write tickets sometimes, right? And I don't think I've ever had one on Blue. He's just a wonderful guy, dad, cares about his kids, man of faith. I can't say it's 100% makes sense why he got that award, and we're super glad to be able to be a part of that, and just thank that organization for stepping up and doing that. He's a SWAT team member, Dustin is, and he's just a wonderful guy. Glad we have him, and they picked the right guy for that one.
Congratulations to Officer Ballou.
Yeah.
Any final words, any wisdom to pass along? You kind of alluded to it's kind of crazy in the world right now. Yeah. We all know what, unfortunately, a lot of us saw last week. Any final words of wisdom, Chief?
Well, I think as the world is in this weird state of affairs, that the more we get back to the foundational aspect of our country, and not imperfect people, I'm not talking about founding fathers, I'm talking about the principles that were laid forth, what this country stood upon, were not necessarily things that we could obtain, but the more that we strive to obtain those principles together, regardless of what our beliefs are, that we strive to obtain those principles that we're all created equally, right? That we all have these rights that are set forth for us, that when we strive for such a high, lofty goal, that in that we will unite together for being a part of what this country was standing upon. And that's my hope and prayer. We get back to those principles, and I think the more we do that, the more that we as San Angelo can represent what that means, because that's what we're doing right here. We can be that example. We can be a light in a dark place to say that regardless of what your stances are, we're going to stand upon the freedoms of this country, and that includes the right to have your faith and the right to free speech. And I think that there's more hope in this than what we can see right now, and I trust that.
As always, the wise words of San Angelo Police Chief Travis Griffith. Chief, thank you once again for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, that'll do it for another episode of our VCast Series Chat with the Chief. I'm Bert Sempierre. We'll see you next time.